Alright, welcome to making web pages. So web pages are actually pretty simple. It used to be that just about every web page was made with a language called HTML. And so every web page that you downloaded and displayed was an HTML file. Here's a web page, and this web page is an HTML file. And we know that because if we look up here in the address bar, it says www.27b/6/overdue.html. So the name of this file is overdue.html. And the .html tells every computer that this is an HTML file. And if a computer knows what type of file something is, then it knows how to display it. An HTML file is like a set of instructions for the computer to follow. And what you'll soon see is that even though this looks like, there's lots of pictures here and there's lots of styling, there's some text is bold, the browser makes this web page just for you based on the instructions that it downloads from the internet. And if you don't totally understand what I'm saying, that's okay. You're going to see it in action. So let's go ahead and make our own HTML file, our own web page. You're probably going to be doing this a lot, at least at the beginning of the course. What you need to do is you need to create a text file on your computer, but then you're going to save it not as a text file but as an HTML file. So go to Explorer and find a place that you can remember where stuff is. Maybe in Documents. You should probably create a folder for yourself on your computer. Now, another thing I might do is I might give you a flash drive and tell you to save all your files on your flash drive. That way, it wouldn't matter what computer you were on. You'd always have your files on your flash drive. So I think I might do that. But whether it's on your flash drive or on the computer, right-click and go to New Text Document. And let's name it. Actually, you know what? I wanted to create a folder. Let's go New Folder. And then open up your folder. Now create a new text document. And it's going to be named new text document.text. Let's call this index, but we don't want it to be index.text. We want it to be index.html. And then hit enter. Now it's an HTML file, and if we double click on it, our default browser, in this case Google Chrome, is going to try and open that up. The thing is, though, we don't want Google Chrome to open it up and display it because we are going to edit it. And the way you can edit this file is by right-clicking on it and going down to Open With. And we're going to use the most basic program that you can use to edit HTML files is Notepad. This program up here called CodeWriter, if you want, you could try to use that. That one actually might have more advanced features. It might be easier to use even. But Notepad, every computer has Notepad, and it always works, and it's simple. You just type whatever you want. So it's kind of a tradition in computer programming that the very first program that you write should say, "Hello world," and then make sure you save it. And then go back to your HTML file and double click on it. And there you go. There's your web page. You just made a web page. It's not very impressive, but it is a web page. This is the address of your web page. It's on your computer. It's on your C drive. And this is the text. Cool, huh? Now, what I thought might be fun is I thought we might try to kind of copy this web page. This is the web page of a guy. He writes funny emails to people, usually that he doesn't know. And this is kind of a conversation that went viral a few years ago where someone emailed him and said, "Hey, you owe us some money." And he emailed them back and he said, "Well, I don't have any money, so here's a drawing of a spider that I did. I hope that this settles the matter." And he just goes back, and of course they say, "No, it doesn't settle the matter." And it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And this is actually pretty funny. You can read through that if you want. But let's go ahead and type. Let's go ahead and type this first part of this email exchange up. So go back to Notepad. And instead of "hello world," we're not going to worry about this menu over here yet, and we're not going to worry about this these extra details over here. I just want you to type out this letter right here. So from Okay, save it. And let's go back. You don't have to open it again because it should already be open. It's over here in this index.html tab. And refresh. Uh-oh. This doesn't look like our letter. What happened? How come these things, this date, and this to field and this subject, they should be on their own lines. When you're writing HTML code, it doesn't work like a word processing editor. If you hit enter, it doesn't always go down to the next line. And there's a couple reasons for that, which we're not going to get into here. But what you have to do is you have to use a programming language called HTML to tell the computer where the new lines should start and which text should be big and which text should be bold, etc., etc., etc. So what we need to do is we need to go back here to index.html. And I'm gonna move this down here, and I'm gonna come back up here. We usually start HTML files the same way every time. And I'm not gonna explain all this stuff because it's not really that important right now. All you need to know is that this is how you start HTML files. Doc type HTML. And you see how I'm putting everything in these caret brackets. Anything surrounded by caret brackets is called a tag. And sometimes it's enough to have a single tag, but usually you need to take a section and you need to have a start tag and an end tag. So here's a start HTML tag and here's an end HTML tag. All of our HTML is going to go in the middle of these HTML tags. And we indent lines so that we can keep track of like blocks of code that are related to each other. So everything's going to go in this HTML section. And there's going to be two sections inside that. There's going to be the head section and the body section. And we need to start our head and end our head, and start our body and end our body. And basically everything that you want people to see is going to go in the body of your document. So body, end of body, okay? And everywhere that we want things to start on a new line, we can either put a new line tag or we can put a paragraph tag. And to be honest with you, I'm not totally sure which would be better here. I'm going to try paragraph tag first. Whenever we want something on a new line, we put these tags here. Now here we want it to skip a line, so we're going to use the BR tag. Now this one, I don't need a start and an end tag. And I am going to make this whole, since this is one paragraph, I'm going to say start the paragraph, end the paragraph. Now normally having the paragraph and the end paragraph surrounding something, that's what makes it go to the next line. So here we need something that's going to make it go to the next line and something that's going to skip a line. And what we can do is we can just use 2 BR tags. And that should make it skip a line. Now for this part, we can just let it word wrap. Then we want it to skip a line. New paragraph. And then that's it. Now click Save, and when you come over here and refresh, look at that. It looks much, much better. However, I think there's a little too much space in between this stuff. So when you use the paragraph tag, it puts quite a bit of space in between one element and the next. It might be better, instead of using the paragraph tag, if we just go back and use BR tags. And whenever you want to see the changes, make sure you click Save and Reload. Okay, that looks better. Now, from date to and subject, that's a much stronger font than the normal font. So let's go back here. And these headings here, from, date, to, and subject. Let's put in a new tag. This is the strong tag. And everything after the strong tag until the end strong tag is going to be strong. Cool. Now another little detail I see is this line that goes across here. You can make a line go across your web page by using the HR tag. HR stands for horizontal rule. And if you put that in your document, then you get a cool little line that separates, maybe it separates emails in an email exchange like we're doing right now. Alright, so what's next? We're not going to type up this whole web page, but let's go ahead and type up the next part. This part right here that says from David Thorne. Oops, just this part. And then we're going to put the picture of this spider in here. So HR, next line, strong. Now, if I think ahead a little bit, I can be real smart about this. I've got 4 lines that need a strong and strong, right? And I can just control copy, control paste, control paste, control paste. Now I can put from date to and subject. And let's put another horizontal rule in here and save. And now when we reload, there's another section. Now, how do we get that picture of the spider in here? Picture of the spider comes after regards David. So come back over here. And we'll go to the next line, and we're going to use a new tag called the image tag. And in its absolute simplest form, it just says IMG for image. But we always have to tell it what the source of the image is going to be. So you're going to put src for source equals, and then you're going to have quotation marks. And what goes inside these quotation marks is the address or the location of the picture that you want to insert. Well, we could download this picture to our hard drive and then do it that way, but usually if you right click on a picture, you can just get the image address here, copy image address, and then Control V for paste. And here's the address of the image. Now, if you were a professional web page maker and you were doing a web page for, I don't know, a company like Tide soap or something like that, someplace that's going to get a lot of people visiting every day, then you would want to download this image to your computer and use it that way. people don't really like it when you post direct links to their website because that increases the traffic on their website. But we're not going to get a lot of visitors to our website, so it's okay if we do it this once. Now, if I click Save, and I come over here and I reload, boom, there's my little spider. Cool, huh? Now, let's give our document a little color. The way we usually add color to our documents, or style, and also the way that we usually move things around on the page, is by using something called a cascading style sheet. And when we talk about cascading style sheets, we're talking about CSS. And that's actually a separate file that has formatting information for our HTML document. A long time ago, the styling information, like all the information about what color the font should be and what color the background should be, all that information was in the HTML document. But the problem is most websites have many HTML documents. And so all that style information had to be retyped into the HTML documents every time. And that made all the file sizes larger. And someone had the bright idea, well, why don't we put all the styling information in one file, and then that can be used to style all of the HTML pages. And now that's how we do it these days. So what you can do is go back to your flash drive or your folder on your hard drive, and let's create a new text document. And we're going to call this style.css. It's not going to be a text document, it's going to be a CSS document. And right now, if you go to open with Notepad, you'll find that there's nothing in it because we just made it. The first thing we have to do is we have to go back to index.html, and we have to go to this head section. Remember, everything that we want people to see is in the body section. But when we're telling the computer what style sheet we want to use, that information can go up here in the head. And that tag is going to be, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You just have to kind of memorize it or write it down or look it up every time you want to use it. Let's see, link. What is it? Link rel equals style sheet. Type. Now href is it's when you want to link to something. Whenever you're on a web page and you click on something and it takes you somewhere else, that's a link, right? And the code for a link is href. This is going to be a link to a style sheet, and we just created the style sheet. It was called style.css. Cool. File, save. Now if we go back to index.html and we reload, oh, nothing changes. That's because we didn't put any information in there. CSS, or cascading style sheets, let's see, I found something about that over on W3 Schools. So one really useful resource is w3schools.com. And it's really good for teaching you stuff about websites. And if you want to read a little bit about what CSS is and its history, you can read that stuff here. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on the screen. Like we talked about, you don't have to type the same thing over and over again. You can just link to a CSS. I was looking for something that talked about, oh yeah, syntax. So when you're writing CSS, you're going to first type out a selector. And that's going to be some element in your web pages. Now we haven't gone over the H1 element yet, but that's like for a header. So you would, if you wanted something to be a header, you would use the H1 tag. You might come back here, I don't know. You might want Dear David to be a header. Or maybe you would go back up here at the top and you would add a header and you would put H1 and you would put Spider Story and H1. File save. And then when you reload this, you get a big header that says Spider Story. And so whatever document, whatever element of your web page that you want to control the look of, then you type that out. That's your selector. And then you have the declaration. The declaration starts and ends curly braces. Now this curly brace can be on one line, and this curly brace could be way down 3 or 4 lines down if you have a lot of information you want to type in there. And then you have all of these property value pairs. Now it's important to note that property value pairs end with a semicolon. And usually we put property value pairs on their own line. It just makes it easier for a human to read. But you don't have to. Anyways. Alright, so this is kind of cool looking, but let's change the colors. Let's change the font to kind of a dark brown. And let's change the background to kind of a papyrus color. Now we can't just type in dark brown or papyrus. We have to know the numerical codes for those colors. Let's type our selector first. This code that we're about to write, we want it to affect the whole body of our web page. So there's our selector. And now let's write our, what do they call it? Property value pairs. So the background color is going to be some number. And remember, our statement has to end with a semicolon. So the background color is going to change the background of the web page. The color is going to change the text. They used to call that font color, and it was much more clear, but for some reason they just call it color now. Now, we need the numerical codes for our colors. W3 Schools is really helpful for that. Because if you scroll down on almost any web page, oh, they're going to make a liar out of me. If you go to home and scroll down, you get this thing. It's called the color picker. And it'll give you the mathematical number of any color. So let's go to dark brown. And this is the mathematical value. 663300. And it's not important to know this, but this is actually a code for how much red, how much green, and how much blue is in this color. So the color is 663300. The background color, we want it to be more of a, I don't know, papyrusy kind of color. It's going to be FFFF99. And if you save this, now when the index HTML file gets loaded, it tells the browser, I want you to use all of this appearance information in style.css. And then it goes to style CSS and it says, oh, the background color should be this and the text color should be this. And so if we, let's see, make sure I save everything. And if I reload, now we get kind of a cool, almost looks like it's written on the Declaration of Independence. So have some fun with that. That's probably enough for today. Have some fun with that. Maybe add some pictures to this if you want. Change the colors around. And when you're done, show me what you got so I can give you credit.